Guys, we all like to be property ninjas, look at stuff and think, I wonder if I could develop there, what I could build there, what's the zoning, what are the controls, how do you find out this information, where do you find out this information? Stay tuned.
Mark, good morning, sir. How are you today?
Right, man. Yeah, it's wet again. Jesus Christ.
It's wet, it's chilly, mate. It's freezing, but here we are.
I still don't like it though.
We're going to heat ourselves up. We're going to talk about property. We're going to talk about zoning today. Getting in the zone. Quite an interesting topic because I think a lot of people, property investors, developers, you're someone out there eagerly wanting to buy a property or even potentially lease a property, and you're trying to understand the zoning around what you can and can't do. And a lot of the time, no one's really going to tell you. It's up to you. You do your diligence, find out. If you can, you can. If you can't, bad luck. But you don't want to be stuck in the rut, especially when we're forking out a lot of money and we're looking at, setting yourself up and focusing on a project.
Well, even on your own property, I think sometimes you can become romantic about what you can and can't do. Where do you start? Who do you speak with? But generally online, we always like to start our research, and we're going to give you some tips and tricks on where to go.
Yep, fantastic. So let me just see if I can do this right this morning. I'm going to see about sharing, for instance, my screen. Give me a second.
Before you do that, so guys, I guess it comes back to one of the first things you should do is zoning. So zoning is in an area what your council has designated, desired for that future use of that area. So they'll give you a zoning, and they'll say, in this zone you can do that, in that zone you can do this, in this other zone you can do that. Now, if you look at most metros, areas, regions in Sydney, they generally offer a mixed use. So if you look at, say, Northern Beaches, right, Northern Beaches has a population of 250,000. It has about 110,000 properties. Those properties have to service our community. There's hospitals, schools, shopping, industry, retail, medium density living, low density living, and high density living. This goes for most areas in Sydney, that you'll find that there'll be that eclectic mix of different zonings, but they all have to get along with each other. Yeah. So they all have to actually complement each other. And what I mean by that is you don't want to have your little house in the middle of an airport. And that's why planners and council and governments have desired zonings and characteristics for areas so they're planned well. Because when a suburb's not planned well, or when a city's not planned well, it is an absolute nightmare, and the livability is crap. So if them's the rules, then we have to, when we want to develop our property, we've got to stick within those guidelines.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. And, it's understanding, again, the rules, what you can and can't do. And I want to bring up, for example, one of the links that I think will really help people. And we've actually dabbled on this one before, ePlanning Spatial Viewer. What's really great,
I'm in there every day. Every single day I'm in there on this website, guys, as a real estate agent. It's a powerful tool.
Powerful tool. Now, I'm going to use an example of a property that we've actually got on the market currently, which is in French's Forest. Now, this is 2A Russell Avenue. And what's great is, despite the fact I've only just put, the first couple of sentences in there, you can get a good broad view of different properties, different areas. But we're talking about French's Forest. And this is us right here, for example.
If I'm a landowner and I own something and I want to know what the hell can I do here, you use the But the link's here. We've supplied the link. You use the spatial plan of this portal, and it will tell you what you can currently do on your block.
Yeah. And when you obviously zoom out and understanding codes is what we're talking about this morning, you can see here, for example, this is the property here. It's marked out. And then we've got people are wondering what on earth is that there, highlighted B2. So that there with Forest Way running along, that's actually Forest Way Shops, zoned B2 right there. Now, I'm just going to...
So Nate, if I own this property, the subject property that you're looking at, can you zoom right up on that?
Right.
If I own that property, nice parcel of land opposite a huge shopping centre,
Yep.
the first thing I would think is, what can I build here? What's the zoning here? What am I allowed to build? And this piece of software for free will actually show you all of your controls of what you can currently build in the area.
So what's really neat is when I've clicked on this tab here, land zoning map, and it's got here R2 low density residential. People might be wondering, what on earth is that? What can I do with that? You come along here and it will give you a breakdown, low density residential objectives of this zone, and gives you exactly what you can and can't do with this particular zoning. Scrolling along, I might even zoom up as well, just a touch, so we can all provide housing needs of the community within a low density residential environment. And of course, obviously, we've got here permitted without consent, permitted with consent.
All right. Nate, can we move quick through all this stuff? So that's spatial planning. That's zoning. One other thing I want to show you guys on that is, Nate, can you show us quickly before we go on here, the area, for example, what's the minimum lot size? What's the minimum block that I can do to develop this?
Let's have a look here. Bear with me a second. So we've got an 8.5 metre height clearance here.
Okay, everyone wants to know how high they can build their house or where they are. This piece of software is going to tell you with your block of land how high you can build where you are at the moment. So that's 8.5 metres from natural ground level. That's when you walk on the soil to the top of the roof. 8.5 metres is what you're allowed. Does it also have minimum lot size there, Nate?
It does indeed, right underneath here. Lot size map, 600 metres square.
Okay, so if your block is 1,300 metres squared and you're reading that it's a minimum lot size of 600 metres squared, that tells me I can do 2 blocks on that block of land.
Pretty impressive software. Pretty impressive software right here. And this is free and easily accessible by absolutely anyone. And that link
All right,
is...
great start.
I'm come back here. Now, a question I wanted to ask you about zoning.
Yep.
Does zoning affect the value of the property, in your opinion?
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I think with if you can change it from one use to another use, that's when you're really making some good money. But I think zoning is a killer thing to find out for your area, and particularly, Nathan, if your zoning is going to change. You asked also a question off there about can you change your own zoning?
Yeah, well, that was quite interesting for me, because obviously when you've got a site like this and you as a developer want for instance and it's just that singular lot, for example, you want to change something, you want to do something. Is it possible for you yourself? Can you go about doing all these things? And
good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck. I think you're going against the forces of nature a little bit. I have seen it happen. But to change, the problem with changing a zoning is if you're allowed to do it, it opens and sets precedents up to other blocks of land being able to do it, and council's very wary about opening that sort of precedent. So, I guess the answer to that's, in short, that chance is a chance, but changing the zoning of your own property going to be hard. Next one.
Done. If you can't change it, can it prove difficult for either a tenant going in, or for example, in a commercial site, or a purchaser, essentially using the zoning that you've got? I mean, we've discussed R2, for example, this morning. That potentially means you can go up another floor. That means you can utilize the minimum lot size of 600. Do you reckon that proves difficult for some people?
Yeah, well, I think I think when you buy the block, you got to make that consideration though, because I think it proves difficult if you dream of 3 or 4 stories and you buy it and you bought a 2-story zoned area. I think you're making life really hard for yourself. But if you're buying with the intention of doing what's within that zoning, it just doesn't hurt your head. And I think also people buying areas that are punting is very interesting, because people will buy into an area for a future rezoning that can never happen, or that can happen in 20 or 30 years' time. It's painful to watch as a real estate agent.
Yeah. But again, they're banking on opportunity, and not every investment, is successful straight off the bat. It's something that you hold on to and you work with. I think that's the beauty of an investment, is seeing growth and seeing potential change. I think it's pretty interesting.
Warrior Valley was interesting, an interesting concept on that, where I'm Serbian background, and there was a lot of Serbians, Yugos, Croatians in that area, and they were all they're all farmers, and they're all banking on the rezoning for subdivision. It happened, but in the making, it took such a long time. I remember people have been talking about it from 1980 and around there, probably even before. And then until it truly started getting developed was from around 2010. These guys were rocking on it for almost 20 or 30 years for a rezoning of an area.
Yeah. So I guess we can sum up to say that realistically, despite the fact that your property may be under one zoning at one stage, the future of it can change and make it better. It just takes a little while.
Takes a long time. A lot of Chinese whispers, a lot of community consultation. It's happening in Ingleside. It's happening in Frenchs Forest at the moment. If anyone is out there punting and wanting to buy in an area where it's going to be rezoned, a good punt would be Frenchs Forest around the new hospital, which is a multi-billion-dollar facility. But not all of Frenchs Forest, but close to that hospital is all going to get rezoned. So if you want to have a look through at the Google rezoning Frenchs Forest, and you'll see how they're approaching a rezone for an area that was generally just all residential. Small little pockets of a school and small little pockets of industrial, but generally 99% part residential. And they're making a big pact and a big plan to roll through that suburb, rezone some serious heights. How they do it, it's interesting.
Unbelievable. It'll have its own city, almost like its own city hub, its city centre, Frenchs Forest.
Yeah, like another DY. So it's going to be incredible.
Beautiful. Well, Mark, I won't take up any more of your time, but guys, thank you very much for joining this morning. Talking about zoning, it's a topic that you need more information on. In the description box, we have popped links that can help you guys really, really understand what you can and can't do with a property or a future project. Happy to help whenever we can as well, as far as contacting us direct.
Big time. Yeah, just give us a call. We're happy to give you guys any pathways on that sort of stuff. But that New South Wales planning portal that we showed up at the beginning, and there's a link in here as well, it's a killer.
Excellent. Mark, thank you so much. Great day to you.
Love you guys. See you. Bye.